with Pro Mode, you do not have to know social strategy. You do not have to know proper blog structure. You don't have to know any of these quality control in terms of best practices, marketing rules, meaning anyone in your company, who knows the heart of your company, can manage your marketing. It doesn't have to be a marketing person. The owner can do it. The HR director can do it. Anyone who has the bandwidth in their calendar to go in and 30 minutes a week use Pro Mode can run your marketing, because all they need to know is this accurate? Do we like how this sounds?
Hmm.
In the same way that that's all that's required of you when you engage an agency, because
Yeah,
the agency is bearing the burden of that knowledge. Like, we know what Facebook should look like. We know what Instagram should look like. We know what a blog should look like. Yes, it's keyword optimized. All of those things are on the shoulders of the agency, meaning the business owner needs only to review that content and say, yes, I'm cool with the world seeing this, or no, try again. That's the executive function that Promode requires.
exactly. And the latency is where it's really impressive. So, uh, okay, so if you as the business owner, let's say you're a super creative business owner and you've got like, I want my brand to be presented this way. Let's say you've got a good sense of humor, or, you've got a strong mission, values, whatever the
You
case
want
may
to be
be.
different.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the latency between going to an agency with that and actually seeing what that looks like on the back end of it is months,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
And
And so,
thousands of dollars.
yeah. And so the latency with this is, we were kind of joking around. I mean, you could be in a wild state of mind. I mean, you could take a handful of mushrooms, have a cool idea about your business, and you could hop into promo and just spew out 10 sentences of just how much you love your community, blah, 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 blah. And like a minute later, you see, here is the campaign that is the result of this idea. And then the next morning, you could be like, that was stupid. I don't know why I did that. Delete, delete, delete.
Right.
Let me do it a little bit with a sober mind today.
Yeah. And
Or
you're,
that rocked. This is what I want. Look at this. Look at, like, this
yeah,
blog post actually represents what's in my heart. You see it. There's zero latency to it.
right. And the cost to try it is like 4 minutes.
Exactly. That's it. That's 100% it. It is like fully removed all of those bottlenecks to where it is idea to output immediately. And so like, is that as sexy as like Sora, as video generation? I mean, no. But that is where this is where I think AI engineers and AI companies really need to be thinking is where like where are the opportunities to cut latency almost fully, and like again, like going back to this concept of tenfold, like this is kind of what that looks like, is to have tenfold improvement is you are like removing barriers to entry. You're removing organizational bloat. Things no longer need to get passed through all of these filters before even thinking about putting something into a database that has a useful output. It is just it is like anybody. I mean, Janet in accounting is so funny in the break room. Hey, bitch, get on pro mode, put your wild ideas in this thing, and let's see if it works. If it works, great. Like, here's a login. Like, you should be doing this. Like, this is
Mhm.
Janet's corner. Uh, yeah, and that to me is like the promise. That's the thing that gets me very excited.
Well, I'm so excited for the day when it's second nature for people to use tools like ProMode. Because we notice in our clients so far, there's a range of adoption, right? There's a spectrum of um, how many risks they're willing to take, how many times they are willing to log in and use ProMode, like how often they think of ProMode as the place for that idea. There's a spectrum for that. And I think of, No shade on my dad, but the older generation when it comes to cell phones. Like, how many times have we told our parents, you can just Google that? They'll be sitting there wondering about something. How far is that? Well, I guess we'll never know. Like, uh, no, you have a phone in your hand. The answer is right there. But they just, they were from a generation where they didn't have a smartphone until they were 40 years old or older, right? So it may never be second nature to that generation to use their phone first. Like, as soon as you wonder about it, you can look up the answer and know for sure. Um, my dad will still kind of get into, he'll talk about history and world events and not really know the details and there's some holes there. But I'm like, we can find out exactly what you're talking about. But, and I get it, that kind of takes the fun away for him. Like, he would rather just, campfire chat and bullshit every now and then, and that's fine. But there is a place you can go to find out those facts. Um, so I'm excited for the day when tools like ProMode will be second nature. Like, there's no doubt about it. We can just, you know, tell that to ProMode.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's it. I think, it will take a shift in mindset. I mean, because like public communications about your company, it's something that since we've had access to mass communication, it has been a big, scary, mysterious thing. It's been protected by gatekeepers, and that I mean, that gate has been burst wide open. And so I think the biggest thing is just making sure people know that they have permission to know, like, your ideas are good. Like, the only thing we need is your ideas. All of this other stuff that has been gate kept
Yeah.
since mass communication has been available to us, those are no longer there. So now it is just purely like, you don't even need a whiteboard anymore. It just goes straight, and if you don't like it, throw it away. Like, it doesn't, just go for it. Like, your ideas are good. It's your company. Nobody knows it better than you. Um, that there is no barrier to this anymore. We want your unfiltered view of your industry, of your team, of your, like, it can be out there now. It's a cool time.
Well, it's so funny that you said gatekeeping because before this podcast, before we hopped on, that was the word that kept coming to my mind was gatekeep, gate kept. And you're so right. Like, in the marketing world, I mean, it is the most smoke and mirrors industry, I think, in business, right? Like, if you think of accounting and you think of operations, like, every business owner knows, it's just numbers. It's numbers, it's inputs and outputs, it's margins and math. And like, that's the nature of what that is. But marketing has been so mystified. It's, ideation and strategy, and these kind of high level words have been used to justify costs of marketing agencies, of engaging creative talent. And I get it. Like, I know why the cost has been so high within those agencies. I've kind of cooled off a little bit since launching ProMode. Initially I was like, these agencies it's highway robbery. They're charging clients all this money. It's crazy. But then I'm like, okay, well, the reality is, before AI became accessible 2 years ago, or, whatever that date was, that truly was the only way to do it, because it took so much time to create something the client would approve.
Yeah.
So, clients might think, why is this agency bill so high? Why is this quote so high from these agencies? Well, it's because they are anticipating you may be difficult to please. based on their experience with other business owners. And it's just, it takes time to arrive at an agreement of, is this okay to publish for you? This website, this logo, this blog, this message, whatever it is this okay? Back to the drawing board. Is this okay? Back to the drawing board. There is an average number of hours that that event takes, right? That's where the price tag comes from.
Yeah, you hit
Plain,
the nail on the head. Yeah,
plain and
because
simple.
those that is exactly it. Because if a website design is not approved, that gets sent back to half a dozen people that have to have their hands in that. And like we're now, I mean, with pro mode, it is a mindset shift that we're trying to walk people through. But it is like,
Yeah.
if this doesn't pass muster, throw it in the garbage. There's another one 30 seconds behind it. Like,
And the time is another thing. You know, if you're a business owner and you're like, I don't understand why it takes so long to get a blog published or a social post published or whatever. It's because the better your agency is, the more clients they have. And the more clients they have, the farther down in the project management workflow your second revision is. If you rejected it the first time, now you're back in the queue. You reject it again, you're back in the queue. And there's a mountain of clients in front of you. So you're adding weeks, months to every output deliverable, right? Like that's just the operational drag that exists without AI. And it doesn't matter how nice those marketers are. It doesn't even matter how good they are or how creative they are. They still don't fundamentally understand your business, especially in the world of B2B, where you've got a niche business. You're a manufacturing company that makes this widget that that marketer has never even heard of. They have to research your widget, research your industry, research your brand voice, come up with content for you, present that to you, hear that it sucks, redo it, hear that it sucks again, but it's close. You know, that process takes so long, which means it costs so much. And right? So that's the beauty of AI and tools like Promode is that whole process is now gone.